Tabletop role-playing game news to start your week off right. Good morning and welcome. Hello, how are you? It's about 8:30 in the morning on this, the 16th day of December, 2024. It's 50 degrees and sunny here at Site B. I have the beginnings of a migraine because, of course, I do. It's time to take a look at the tabletop role-playing game news stories that are going to set our week. So let's open our course books, take out our "this joke never gets old" sextant, and take a look at the stories. And the first story I've actually been sitting on my lap since November. I just keep forgetting to mention it because I'm dumb. So this comes to me from my good friend Robbie Mack. There is a company called Wormwood who makes those big, gigantic gaming tables, gaming furniture, and apparently they just let go of 50 to 70% of their staff over the Thanksgiving weekend and pretty much did it in a not very nice way. What? So production of Wormwood has been cut in half. A bunch of Kickstarters and pre-order customers discovered that they were began selling stock tables that can be shipped in a week, with the rest of the plebes waiting for the orders to be filled. I don't know what that means. I guess okay. So people found out that they'd paid for the Kickstarter, but then the company started selling the tables to non-people anyways. This guy ordered a table in August. He was told to wait 3 to 4 months to delivery. And then he discovered that the tables were ready to ship in October. And then he was told that he would get refunded with an in-store credit. So he'd get a cherry table now, accessories later, but that would not be refunded the $200 shipping fee, which made no sense to them considering he'd already wasn't getting anything shipped. They were making more tables than they could sell, so they started ready to ship tables. So this is not the first time Wormwood has fired a huge chunk of their employees during the holidays. This appeared to be the last, and apparently the way the CEO handled it wasn't very well received. That seems to be a running theme when these companies lay people off. They do it in the least pleasant way, and usually ending up doing more harm than good. Okay, well, thanks, Robbie, for the story. I'm sorry it took me so long to get around to it. If you're wondering what this cyberpunk picture has to do with tables, nothing, but we do want to know that there is a new Cyberpunk Red story out that is considering everything else that is falling on the cyberpunk people this week. We'll get to that in a second. I guess this is good news. This is called Tales from the Red, Hope Reborn. It's a spiritual successor to the classic cyberpunk adventure, Tales from the Red. And it is deals with neighborhood level cyberpunk campaigns with a central bar as the main protagonist in the story, and the characters' relations to this bar and all the adventures are either directed or indirectly connected to this bar. And it takes cyberpunk down to a much more personal level, as opposed to me got big gun, me fight evil Illuminati corporation, me getting cool motorcycle chase across freeway. This, how this one's really exploring the, individual neighborhoods, individual people, individual chunks of the cyberpunk story in the larger cyberpunk universe, which is cool. And, could be a refreshing breath of change. That sentence made no sense. God, I need caffeine. As composed to the, more high profile edge runner cyberpunk stuff, just really slice of life cyberpunk. 2 words I never thought I'd hear together. So why is Cyberpunk Red getting so much bad press? So why is this a good press? Well, if you're a fan of the Cyberpunk 2027 Witcher video game franchise, which are both made by the same company, and for a while, Artisolian had their hands on the Witcher RPG, I think, but then they let it go to somebody else, or I don't remember. Anyways, the new Witcher 4 is coming out, and the main character is not Geralt or whatever his name is. It's Ciri, the girl, and a lot of people are upset about that. And so that company is getting a lot of bad press this week, and that spirals up to bad press for the Cyberpunk role-playing game, which then spirals up to bad press towards Cyberpunk, which then spirals up to bad press to our good friend Mike Poundsmith and Artisolian Games, So yeah, that's the thing going on. We've got a lot of different gift giving guides out this week from the various different companies. We've got a dice gift giving gift guide. We've got a figure collector gift guide. We've got a painter gift guide. We've got just general gift guides for the person in your life who does gaming, who you don't really know what to get a present for. So those are all out there. Plus there's, D&D Beyond sales. There's sales on Amazon. There's sales on Target. There's sales at Barnes & Nobles for anything directly or indirectly related to our hobby. Some of them make perfect sense. Oh, dice are marked down. That makes perfect sense. Some of them are like questionable. The D&D themed coasters are marked down because those exist. Yeah. And then some of them make no sense whatsoever, like the planter that was marked down because somebody decided that this planter looks vaguely like a monster. So let's mark it down from $200 to $150 and say it's a D&D themed planter pot because it kind of looks like a monster. Because, yeah, I remember all the times in my years of playing the hobby, I went, you know what would make this game that much better? A cactus. If only I could find a planter that looks something like a monster. And then, of course, there's the D&D beef snacks. So those are marked down too. So yeah, sales. My response to those are, 9 out of 10 of the people in your life who are gaming are probably going to want simple things. Pencils, pens, paper, dice, rule books. If they're a painter, they're going to want paint and brushes. If they're a model builder, they're going to want glue. Other than that, they're going to be like, do I really need D&D coasters? After making Lord of the Rings 5e a content on D&D Beyond, Free League has released some new stuff for Lord of the Rings 5e, which is not on D&D Beyond left. This is one about specifically the elves in the Free League's Lord of the Rings 5e role-playing game and the past, present, and future of the elves from, arriving to their history with the rings to sailing west at the end of the books and the few that remain behind. So it's elf goodness for all you elf lovers who love the elves of Middle-earth. There's this new play test going around for the new stuff in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. The two new classes are Necromancer and Runeseth. These are not subclasses of existing classes, because I know, like me, you're saying, but there already are Necromancer builds for both Wizard and Warlock and Cleric. So, but no, now this is a Necromancer class, and it reads a lot like it's trying to emulate the classic Diablo Necromancer with like skeleton armies and bone armor and throwing bones at people. And then we have the Runesmith, which I guess is a separate class and not a subclass. That involves putting runes on things, and then when things happened, the runes are activated. So you put like a rune on your hammer, and when your hammer slams down, you could decide whether to activate the rune or not. And then if the rune goes off, the hammer does something extra, but then you can't use that rune again. Why isn't he subclass? But somebody said that Pathfinder doesn't really do subclasses. If they have an idea, they just build a new class around it rather than make it a subclass. Because if we remember Pathfinder 1st Edition, there was a lot of that. There was a lot of splat books. I mean, there was, Pathfinder Investigations. They had a vigilante Pathfinder class, basically, where you had a regular edition and a masked crime fighter edition in fantasy Pathfinder. They had gunslinger. They had all these different weird classes and settings. It was almost like they were trying to be generic, but generic within the confines of the fantasy world of Glorian. So all the tech characters came from one part of the world. And I think things got ridiculous when they introduced the vigilante class, because it's like, when in D&D would I have time to sneak off, switch into my Batman costume, reappear, fight crime, and nobody in my party is going to go, hey, isn't it weird that the OG GM just disappeared around that corner in the middle of the fight, but Batman's here now? How did Batman get in the dungeon? I don't know. Why is it we never see the OG GM and Batman together? Because they're the same guy. Oh yeah. Like, yeah, how does that work in the terms of D20? But they did it. So now it looks like they're doing the same thing. Just splat book after splat book after splat book, each one containing, new classes instead of making subclasses, or just not even making subclasses or new classes, just going, hey, you want to do a necromancer build? Here's suggestions how you would do it with a wizard. Here's suggestions how you would do it with a paladin. Here's suggestions how you do it with a cleric. Well, does it need its own class with all the variation of things that are already available to you to build a necromancer or whatever? I don't know. I don't think so, but hey, that's how you make money. Speaking of making money, Henry Cavill has finally signed off on the Warhammer 40K TV series. If you want a hint of what the Warhammer 40K TV series might look like, head on over to Amazon Prime if you're lucky enough to have it and watch the secret level. I watched all the episodes. None of the animation was amazing, and I'm happy to say my friend TJ Storm mocapped some of the characters. He was Titus in the Warhammer 40K, and he's a few of the other characters scattered across. The animation was amazing. The third to last one, the one where they're in the city trying to rescue the guy, there were moments I couldn't tell it was animation. The last one with Keanu Reeves, the scenes in the bar until he got into the robot, is like, that is as good as real life. You could not tell. So the level of animation is amazing. The stories were beautiful. The animation was great. Downside, you had no idea what's going on because they start in the middle and they don't have an ending. From the first one to the last one is like, what? And then they reference things like you're supposed to know what they're talking about, right? Like in TJ's one, there's all this stuff going on. And if you don't know Warhammer lore, like I don't, you're like, what's going, why? What? I don't get it. Where did that come from? What does that mean? I don't understand. And then it just ends. And you're like, wait, what? What happened? But the animation was amazing. So I don't know if it was intentional to feel like you were coming in the middle of a story and then leaving before the story ended as a way to hook you in to enjoy more of the story. Like, oh, now you're hooked. Now you're going to want to know more about this world. Maybe you should start looking into the lore. Why did that happen? Who are these people? Is that intentional? Or was it just the way they decided to film them? I mean, I don't really know why you would film a story in such a way that you're coming in the middle. Stuff happens that you really have no clue what's going on, and then it ends, but you're still left going, what just happened? What about the only reason I can think of is you're trying to get people curious so that they then go, wait, I want to know why that happened. I want to know who that was. So I'm going to look it up, or I'm going to wait for the next secret level in the hopes that they explain that. So make of that what you will. That does seem to be the tabletop role-playing game community news. We've got some Cthulhu stuff coming up. We've got a ton of holiday things. Obviously, you're going to be finding a lot of Christmas adventures if that's something you're looking for at all the various websites. It does appear the internet has declared war on our good friend Condor DM once again. That should be an interesting story to follow. But that's about it for the tabletop role-playing game news for this week. If you've got anything you want me to talk about, let me know. Otherwise, have a great week, and I will talk to you later. See ya.